Hello, thank you all for joining us for the service delivery for transition age youth and adults, empowerment versus care debate. My name is Trevor Dalton, and I am joining us from Idaho for the empowerment side. Also on the empowerment side of the debate is Hannah from Utah and April from Ohio. On the care side of the debate, we have Jennifer from Oklahoma.
Hello.
And Karen from Colorado.
Hi.
And Shalith from Illinois.
Hello.
Who will now provide our debate overview.
Despite the value placed on independence and self-sufficiency in our society and the many laws that reflect it, research has found that individuals with disabilities are not afforded the same opportunities of making those decisions concerning their post-school outcomes. Oftentimes, those with disabilities find themselves in a system of care in which choices are made for them. According to Pincelli, students with intellectual disabilities are not given the opportunity to practice self-determination skills in the real world, and this has resulted in terrible post-school outcomes. Those making the decisions for individuals with disabilities, however, are concerned with funding, healthcare, and liability issues. The decisions they make concerning those with disabilities are for the individual's own well-being.
Awesome, thank you. I really like that because it talked about just how we are kind of in a system of care right now, and it is sort of trapped that way. But we found an article. So empowerment is an important variable that leads to improved quality of life in individuals. And I'm going to share a little bit from this article because it talks about us being mediators. And if we can help to implement some principles of empowerment, that we can do a better job at improving the quality of life of those we work with. So this particular study by Roberts, that'll be in our, went over a couple different things that lead to quality of life: emotional well-being, physical well-being, self-determination, interpersonal relations, social inclusion, rights, personal development, material well-being. And in all of these different factors that lead to quality of life, empowerment was closely related to inclusion, rights, and self-determination. Empowerment will have a different definition depending on what you read and where you read and who you talk to, but we feel like it's important to have an approach of empowerment where you are including the individuals in the decision-making, like self-determination. So when we implement treatments, it is important that we take that attitude of involving the individual in the decision-making process so that they can lead their life the way that they want to lead it.
Majority of young adults today are not living independently. They're living at home. They need a guardian to guide them, to ensure that they are washing. There's a study that shows that young adults with autism need prompting for things like meals, to eat meals, to go ahead and wash properly, and to change their clothes. There is a study that was done by Healy in 2013 that I'm going to share with y'all. Oops. It shows that 19% have lived independently, away from home, on their own. These young adults with autism need to continue to have that system of care. And there are more and more students that are leaving high school and entering the system of care all the time. This is why we need to have a system of care, and it needs to stay in place for these students that struggle with these everyday type decisions, that they need someone else. They can be nonverbal, they need to go to therapies, Uber is not possible, driving themselves is not possible. So to make sure that these young adults with autism have the things that they need to carry out daily living activities, they need to be in a care model, having a guardian that is in charge and helping them be successful.
Thank you for those topic introductions. Our first research point for the empowerment side is based off of an article by Nonmaker and Barbara, who did an interview-based research study with 10 adults in 2011. And this research study focused on the understanding of self-determination. The first thing I would like to share is a visual. Oops, hold on. And this shows the staff actions that impeded self-determination with clients in this setting. The first thing that we found, that the article found, was that staff were not allowing clients to make decisions. So they were making these decisions for them. The second thing we found is that they were also controlling personal spending, which kept clients from making those decisions on what they wanted to buy and do with their money. The clients also stated that staff were a lot of times unapproachable and inaccessible. So when they needed help or when they wanted to ask staff for staff questions and that sort of thing, they weren't able to do so. They were also failing to follow through and obstructing or coercing clients into making decisions that they wanted them to make instead of the clients wanting to make. By doing this, clients felt that they weren't able to make their own decisions and have that lifestyle that they wanted. Research also showed that clients were aware that they weren't able to be making these decisions. So they were very self-aware of the fact that they could be making these decisions, but they weren't. So having that awareness really impedes a person's quality of life, knowing that I could choose to do something, but I'm not allowed. Research also showed that having a good relationship and a good support staff did increase quality of life for those people, for the clients in those group homes, and increase their interpersonal relationships. And by having staff that are supportive and invested in clients' lives, they feel more in control of their own lives, and they feel like they have the ability to make their own decisions, which is what we're looking for. We're wanting them to be able to feel like they can make those decisions. One small limitation of this research study is similar to all qualitative studies, and that is that the findings are unique and specific to the participants that were in this study, these 10 adults. So because of that, we can't generalize this to all future studies and all future clients in this situation.
Lifetime diagnosis requires lifetime services in order to transition from the school system to adult care. 1, service cliff. The effects parents reported losing their child's services received throughout their school years. 2, 54% of caregivers reported that their adult child needed more services than they currently receive. 3, 24% of caregivers reported that services were unavailable to them or were a distance from where they reside. And 4, the Alex Gordon case story. Alex is an adult male diagnosed with autism and is nonverbal. After high school, he began to struggle at home, and his parents eventually put him in a group home. At the group home, staff focused on teaching him life skills, and he made friends. Alex still requires 24 hours care, but with this cycle of care, he is able to learn to be more independent. His mother wonders if adulthood is perhaps a great time to learn new skills.
According to the study by the National Autistic Society in 2014, individuals require support in the following areas in their transition to adulthood. That's in education, medical, social, recreational, family, and employment needs. Just because they graduated doesn't mean that they don't need care and instruction continuing into adulthood. For instance, many individuals with autism need prompts for personal hygiene. The skill may be there, but the awareness may not, and neither is the social motivation. Other areas that the study flagged as areas that individuals needed more care was 65% of parents in the study reported that their adult child still required prompts for washing, dressing. More care was needed with taking medications, making healthy choices in food and exercise, prioritizing paying their bills, claiming their benefits for medical needs. 86 of adults still needed prompting for washing, 70 had missed meals, and 69% had not gotten dressed because they did not get this help.
Although some decisions or choices will require support, even small decisions within one's daily life are important to the individual. In their study on self-determination, Nonemacher and Bambara found an equal number of themes that supported the participants' self-determination. These themes and the staff members who upheld them directly tie into the core ethical principles. The participants found that when they were encouraged to initiate choice making and were provided with options and new experiences in their daily choices, even making the decision for what to have for dinner, they felt more empowered. And we have a visual here. So by upholding the core principles of respecting autonomy and according dignity, staff were promoting independence. Staff members upheld principles of benefiting others, being just, and being faithful by providing access to people of authority to further help participants in areas that were beyond the power of the support staff. By ensuring that the participants had access to those who could meet their needs, the participants had more control over having their needs met. The final three themes are closely related and are connected to many of the same core ethical principles. These themes are being approachable and accessible, listening without judgment, and providing support for follow-through. Support staff promoted the self-determination of the participants by treating others with caring and compassion. Nonemacher and Bambara found that one of the key influences on self-determination was the quality of the relationship with the staff and the participants. Trust and good relationships created the most supportive actions.
In a 2013 article concerning self-determination and choice, Weimer and Avery presented the current research on self-determination as it pertains to those with developmental disabilities. The first point is that research showed that with adequate support, individuals with disabilities can become more self-determined. Interventions designed to promote choice making, decision making, self-awareness, problem-solving skills, as well as goal setting and self-advocacy knowledge, these all showed a strong effect in signal subject designs. Second, the individuals living in homes in which residential staff viewed their role of supporting self-determination as critical were found to engage in more decision-making. Third, individuals living in settings that are more heavily regulated and have more paid staff were found to have significantly limited choices available. Research also showed forth that with greater self-determination, individuals with disabilities exhibit more positive school, community, and quality of life outcomes. Last, there is a lack of research concerning the degree of choice, personal autonomy, and self-determination of adults with disabilities living with their families. Family issues, schedules, multiple preferences, wants and needs in competition with one another will undoubtedly impact the number of choices available.
There's limited research in adult studies. Without proper research into autism adult studies, limited research on adults with ASD does not give a clear understanding of adults who are not receiving services. This is due to the fact that there are not any available, or because the services they need are different from the services utilized before entering adulthood. Speech language services are the most common services provided for children with ASD, though there are less than 1/4 of adults continuing to receive these services. 78.9% of children are in preschool, but only 12% of adults were receiving one-to-one supports. Only 1% of more than 200 million in the USA is federally funded for autism research support studies on adulthood.
So, social isolation and being misunderstood by society are other areas where individuals need more guidance and care. Social isolation and being misunderstood is another reason that adults diagnosed with autism require continued assistance. Only 1 in 3 adults with autism think that social workers have a good understanding of autism. Individuals with autism may struggle being able to describe their own feelings and experiences with others, or someone with an understanding of autism is critical. There needs to be more support to create and maintain relationships. 41% of adults with autism told us that they felt lonely compared to the 11% of the general population, according to the National Autistic Society in 2014. 36% did not leave their house most days. 66 of the people who responded said that they felt depressed because of loneliness. 1 in 4 adults with autism is reportedly feeling socially isolated, according to Rudisil in 2017. A case story of Isaac Law. He's a 24-year-old male who has tried to work and attend post-secondary courses, all of which did not work out for him. This individual has narrow interests in jobs and schooling, has not satisfied him. So he does not feel like he fits into society. And he ends up spending most of his time on Facebook and watching Netflix.
Perhaps being afforded the opportunity to make informed choices rather than having choices made for the individual would offer empowerment and a better quality of life. In 2005, Martin Woods, Sylvester, and Gardner conducted a study in which 8 individuals with severe developmental disabilities made decisions regarding job placement, as did their caretakers, of whom there were 11. Short video clips depicting some common entry-level positions were shown to the participants with disabilities. And we have a visual here. Okay, this video shows the positions that were shown to the participants. They had 14 different settings, 15 different activities, and 12 different job characteristics. Participants were able to watch the videos as many times as they needed until they had determined their top 3 choices for setting, activity, and characteristic. And the caregivers also ranked 3 settings, 3 activities, and 3 characteristics based upon what they felt the individual would like the most. The top 3 choices made by the individual were then compared to the top 3 choices made by his or her caregiver. And we have the agreements. Agreement with the top 3 choices. There were 33 possible agreements for each setting, activity, and characteristic category. There was a 36% match for setting choice, an 18% match for activity choice, and a 33% match for characteristic choice, with a total agreement on any preferred choice of 29%. Exact top matches were also calculated for the exact top matches. And for setting choice, it was 18% and 0% for both activity and characteristic choices, with a total exact agreement of top choices of 6%. With the importance that's placed on preference for post-school employment, it would seem that the caregiver does not always know best, and that better measures need to be in place to ensure that individuals are truly making informed choices.
Helping our clients achieve empowerment is addressed in the BCB's Professional and Ethical Compliance Codes for Behavior Analysts, specifically Section 2.0, which addresses a behavior analyst's responsibility to the clients. Code 2.02 explains that the behavior analyst must advocate for his or her client's best interests, regardless of which party is deemed the client. According to Code 2.04a, when a third party is involved in obtaining services for an individual, the client's care and best interests are considered above all others. And this ties in very well with what April just told us about how a lot of times the care providers are not always right, and we need to make sure we are not assuming. We need to make sure that we're asking those questions with the right attitude and the right approach in order to be able to empower. In the following code 2.05a, the behavior analyst places the utmost importance on the client's rights and choices as well as their legal rights. 4.02, involving clients in planning and consent. Behavior analysts involve the client in the planning and consent for behavior change programs. In other words, if we can involve the client in the decision-making process, hopefully we'll be able to get some more client engagement and self-engagement into the learning process, which will help them for growth. 4.03, individualized behavior change programs. Behavior analysts must tailor behavior change programs to the unique behaviors, environmental variables, assessment results, and the goals of each client. Describing conditions for 4.06, sorry. Describing conditions for behavior change program success. Behavior analysts describe to the client the environmental conditions that are necessary for the behavior change program to be effective. A lot of what we do can be very complex at times, but I think the big things that we need to make sure we do is we have an approachable attitude, and that we are seeking to understand our client as best as we can, and that we communicate very well what different things would look like, and so that they can make those informed decisions.
Thank you, Trevor. Whereas we're looking at the care ethical codes for care, do no harm, giving unlimited freedoms and stopping care services. While some individuals might be able to be an active participant in their therapies and things like that, and we hope that everybody can be those, there are going to be those that say, I don't need that, and maybe that's not the best choice for them. Maybe they do still need to have those therapies and those services available for them to continue to grow even as adults. As an adult, parent does not have any legal rights to access their confidential medical information and things like that. For they must apply for guardianship in order to have access to those types of records. So harm can be done by not allowing guardians to help make choices and to eventually sometimes just make choices for those students, for those young adults. And Ethics Code 2.02 is a responsibility to all parties involved. This includes the family. According to Dignity, we want to make sure that these young adults and adults with autism are still being able to move around in a dignified manner. This is requiring us to have some care solutions in place that can help them prompt with their personal hygiene, with their eating, with appropriate social behaviors. This is very important. And Ethics Code 2.09 is for treatment and intervention efficacy. How would a lower functioning adult maybe know if it is being effective? If they're nonverbal, maybe they can't tell us. Maybe they can't tell us it's not working, or how to judge without a competent adult intervening on their behalf. In the pursuit of excellence, there is just simply not enough research out there for adults diagnosed with autism who are lower functioning to be able to function completely independently. Ethics Code 9.09, accuracy and use of data. There's just simply not enough data out there to make that determination. So we need to continue to have the care system in place.
We were asked by our professor, how can we begin a discussion related to empowerment early in treatment to help families and clients consider their options? Empowerment treatment can begin at a very young age by teaching young individuals how to make choices for very basic things, such as what to wear or what to eat. We are laying a foundation by giving them the skills to make larger decisions in the future. Another aspect of empowerment that can be started early in treatment would be personal grooming and hygiene. By teaching these skills to children at a younger age, it prevents issues dealing with these hygiene problems from happening in the future. And without understanding and maintaining these skills, an individual would likely require care in order to help keep them clean and groomed. Daily living skills, such as cooking, cleaning, taking medication, etc., can also be taught at a young age. Even just starting with basic skills like how to use a microwave can be built up over time so that eventually a person is able to cook a full and well-balanced meal. All of these examples show us that providing early intervention, many opportunities for empowerment can be created. While it is still possible to teach these skills to adults, it is easier to teach these skills to children. And then those skills will last over time. There are instances when a person only requires care due to the fact that they were never taught how to maintain independence, how to cook, how to clean, those things. Everyone deserves to learn these skills, and everyone deserves to learn these skills as early as possible. And by teaching these skills to clients at a younger age, we are able to potentially increase the chance that he or she has for becoming independent. These skills being expressly taught relate directly to BACB Ethics Code 2.09 treatment efficacy. If we teach children how to make decisions and take care of themselves, then they are better equipped for making decisions of greater importance as they grow older. Ethics Code 2.05, Rights and Prerogatives of Clients, states that describes that all people want to say and what happens to them, want to exercise these individual rights, whether or not they're disabled. We're just giving them the tools to do that by teaching this at an early age through early intervention.
So a study was conducted in the United Kingdom and created an intervention of play in young children with autism. The children picked for the study had severe symptoms of autism and were very young. They followed the children until they were 10.5 years old. The study concluded that even after intense early interventions, 29% of the children still had severe symptoms of autism. And this was done by Burke and Friedman in 2017. The study shows that even with early interventions, the need for care to be utilized by adults with autism will still be there in the future. Another study was conducted looking at children with autism aged 15 to 36 months. The children received early interventions that included ABA. The outcome of the study that children made the children that had made significant gains in verbal and behavior, in displaying appropriate behaviors, made significant gains in all areas. The children that did not make significant gains in verbal skills or appropriate behaviors did not make significant gains in all areas. These children do not have the verbal skills, are the ones that will require more care and will face more difficulty as they make that transition into adulthood. These adults will still require the care of another to maintain daily life. So ethical codes that would apply here are 2.04, third-party involvement in services. The adults need to be guided by another adult. They do not have much say in their treatments, as another adult is tasked with making those decisions.
Another question asked by the professor: which BACB code should be centered in your discussion on how to proceed and develop treatment plans? The BACB code that most fits is 2.05, Rights and Prerogatives of Clients. Rights and prerogatives of clients refers to human rights, legal rights, and rights modified within behavior analysis, and organizational and administrative rules and regulations designed to benefit the client. Giving clients independence will fit within this code. Client. The term client refers to any recipient or beneficiary of the professional services provided by a behavior analyst. This term includes, but is not limited to, the direct recipient of services, the parent, relative, legal representative, or legal guardian of the recipient of services, the employer, agency, representative, institutional representative, or third-party contractor for services of the behavior analyst, and or any other individual or entity that is known beneficiary of services or who would normally be constructed as client or client surrogate. For purposes of this definition, the term client does not include third-party insurers or payers, unless the behavior analyst is hired directly under contract with the third-party insurer or payer.
So in conclusion, we felt strongly, obviously there are situations where care is needed and it is an appropriate response, but individuals as I know them are all at different stages of development in all sorts of different areas, whether they're verbal, nonverbal, high functioning, low functioning. And I think it is very important that we can approach all situations with a sense and an approachable attitude that seeks to empower those individuals, to be able to enable them to have better skills and to be able to learn more applied results. I think that it would be really sad if we were so busy focusing on just how to take care of someone that we didn't let them grow and to physically be able to mature and be able to do something for their life and for themselves. But in conclusion, we look forward to being able to post this on the discussion board and being able to read your comments and to be able to figure out how we can answer any questions that you guys might have. And we look forward to being able to do that. Thank you.